Hello. So I have not recorded in a few weeks for YouTube. I've genuinely missed it, actually, and I am just feeling all of these tingles and like prickles. Is that a word? Prickles? Around my body. Like my energy field is like really going off right now. Specifically my left finger, my right palm, my left eyebrow, my left foot, my right palm. Did I already say my right palm? I felt it again. Okay. I had many things. I have many things written down that I've been planning to talk about. And so many different I'm pausing because I heard an expression in my head and I feel like someone says it all the time that I listen to on YouTube, so I didn't want to like say that, but I'm basically seeing like an octopus and all of its different limbs, and I'm really being taken to the mental body. So yeah, I'm picking up on like many threads, and I almost felt a little bit not overwhelmed, but I wanted to sit and go through like the list of everything I'd written down. But instead, I just got the inspiration to hit record without even reflecting back. I may refer to some of the notes as I go through, but yeah. Thank you for your patience as I hone in on a more clear direction. So that could be something maybe you're going through right now. Maybe there's reorganization that's coming up, a need for organizing, or maybe that's something you're already doing and you can take that as confirmation. I did this the other day, maybe like brain dumping. Is that how you say it? Brain dumping, brainstorming. Again, I'm really being taken to like the air element, air energy, mental plane, the swords and tarot, the air signs in astrology, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and I just got extremely hot in my chest. Five of Wands in tarot kept sort of repeating in my mind earlier, and I'm currently house and cat sitting in Tampa, Florida. Well, it's near Tampa. Tampa is the closest city, I'm pretty sure. And there's 4 cats, and there's 2 female cats and 2 male cats, and the 2 male cats just like keep getting in these like spats, and it's nothing too crazy. It's just, a few moments go by and I just like try to come over and talk them out of it. I don't know, but I didn't realize until I got here, sometimes like the person who, the caretaker, will like tell me things, and she's like very communicative, but she didn't say anything, so it was like kind of a surprise when I first saw it, and I was like, oh my god, is this normal? Like, do they do this all the time? Anyway, and then my friend messaged me today about 2 birds that were fighting, like basically almost like right by her head, like by her face. So you could be seeing like, I don't know, animal fighting, conflicts. It could be people as well, or maybe that's something that will come up as just like a collective energy sign and or internal conflict. And I didn't want to push record until I kind of sat with the energy a little bit. So that was within the last hour or so. I was really sitting with it, and I wanted to see what came through. My right palm just lit up again. And I feel like I just had to scratch my chin. Interesting. Like in fairy tales or cartoons or just certain movies where like the villain in the character who plays the villain like will often like scratch their chin like or like play with their mustache. I don't know why I'm seeing that. But it could be like I'm also seeing like lots of glasses breaking and rose-colored glasses. So yeah, there could be some illusions that are shattering. And again, this feels like very collective, like on a collective scale. I honestly haven't been paying too much attention to current events, but I'm almost positive that that's going on. But it feels like there might even be something revealed despite all the conflict that's going on that's still even pretty shocking. I'm seeing like the 8th house in astrology, so Scorpio, sex, death, rebirth. Yeah, like maybe, I don't know why something about a scandal is coming through. Isn't there like I heard like the Hollywood Reporter. I don't even know. I think that's like an old school something. Maybe it was a magazine. I don't know. I'm not sure why it's coming up. Maybe someone here is really into that stuff. And that's why it's coming up. But yeah, now I'm seeing like spiders, Scorpios. Something about, I meant scorpions. So yeah, there could be this, my heart just lit up. Sort of like a reflective energy of, it really does feel like perhaps a masculine collective is what I'm hearing. So of course we all have masculine and feminine energy, so just this like internal aspect, and or maybe someone you're connected to that is realizing something. So it could be like a recent experience that has just happened that's causing this like conflict energy, turmoil, and or it could be like reflecting back to past events and seeing it more clearly, or acknowledging something about it, or finally processing some sort of like repressed trauma, or just heard the word like emotive. So maybe like the repressed emotions have like almost erupted out in this like emotive state. Let's see. Ooh, my back just cracked in like 3 places when I laid down. So maybe someone here and or someone that you're connected to may have some sort of back issues, or had back trouble. I'm seeing like, so let's say maybe this person has like mid back issues and then you have like lower back issues, and then, or like vice versa. There's something like that. And this could be all you as well. It doesn't have to be an external person, but I'm just seeing multiple scenarios here, and or it could be both, whoop. I'm trying to pause. Okay, that was a bit of a long silence, so thank you for your patience. It feels like energetically as well, there may be these like seemingly long pauses and like pullback moments. and I just looked through my notes to see what I wrote down, and I honestly completely forgot that I wrote this like days ago. A little section of one of the energetic patterns that's coming up was I wrote 911. I think I was seeing that number a lot, and I kept hearing sirens. And I wrote down masculine father lineage release, heart opening. Actually, I was in an Uber after flying into Tampa, and the song I Lose Control from Teddy something, Swims, why can't I say his name? Which that song came through a different transmission in the last like month or so. So there could be a connecting message through that transmission as well. But that song came in my head while I was in the car. And then like, I shit you not, like 10 seconds later, no, maybe like 20 seconds later, 30 seconds, within the next minute, that song comes on the radio. And I was like, damn, I was literally just hearing the song in my head. And then I wrote this down. So that goes pretty well with what I was just feeling when I was talking about what I was feeling in the moment without, even remembering that I had written that down. And there is something that feels connected. I need to take a pause because I keep feeling these waves of like heat coming through my chest. Like it's so much heat all of a sudden. In the Patreon overflow that I recorded and posted yesterday, it was like sacred solar return transmission, and I was talking about this like silver lightning energy and this like masculine charge. I just saw 1, 2, 3 on the timer. Yeah, something about steps, step by step, and then now there's this like really loud sound in the background, almost like a motorcycle. I don't know if you can hear it. And now there's a horn. Okay. It's like I want to just continue being extremely methodical and slow. And maybe slow isn't the right word, but there's something about like fleeting happiness is a theme also that I'm feeling coming in. And isn't there like a movie and a song, The Pursuit of Happiness or something? There's something about that, like magic in the mundane, mystical in the mundane. And it feels like whoever's listening to this, there have been many moments of kind of like, I'm hearing like teachable moments or teaching moments where there's something that you are currently now and or will be soon embodying, and there's like someone else or other people, or it's like you're this living, walking example of like living by example in some sort of truth within you. And now there's others kind of like magnetizing towards you in that way, as like looking up to you in some sort of way. And I'm not getting anything too specific. It can really be in one or multiple aspects. But it does feel like there is a symphony, an orchestra of divinely guided and orchestrated people, places, things, events that are starting to, if not already, really show up. And patience, perseverance. Oh, this is okay. I think a bat just flew by me, and earlier I'm pretty sure I saw a black butterfly, or something. It looked like a black butterfly. But yeah, these like black winged creatures, black birds, there's something about that. Yeah, okay, so patience and perseverance. So there's this extreme, almost like radical acceptance of whatever it is, whatever phases of life that you're currently in, or this is something you will be stepping into soon, is what it feels like. Radical acceptance. So like, and like permission to be accepting of yourself wherever you are, whatever your current body shape, weight, hair, skin, nails, your bank account. Like there's something, you know, whether it's where you want it to be or where it's not, or there's certain phases of life, it's like you just have this, like this radical acceptance, and it's like seeping through you, and it's just like a living example of the embodiment of this truth that I was feeling earlier. And back to that masculine heart release I was feeling. Well, so I just looked up at the trees that are in front of me, and I was really drawn to this one spot. Right now, when I'm recording, it is not fully dark, but it's like pretty close. And I can see in one of the trees, it looks like this eye with a circle around it. I'm not sure if that's like some sort of occult symbol, if anyone knows. I can't think right now of that, but an eye with a circle. I know like the all-seeing eye is an eye with a triangle or a pyramid, so it's interesting this is a circle. I'm also seeing an upside down V. I don't know what that would be called. I'm just getting so hot again. The number 5, the number 3. So 8, back to the 8th house energy. Life path 8 could be a theme. Excuse me. So that burp was like kind of stuck. Yeah, so it feels like this this release is coming in like waves. And it might feel a little bit right now like 2 steps forward, 4 steps back, 3 steps ahead, 2 steps to the left, come back to the right. You know, it may feel a little bit chaotic, and like progress is starting to be made and things are changing, and then it might feel like, no, not yet. So yeah, there's this like, again, acceptance of like life has obstacles, and that's okay, you know. And it's like how your perspective of embracing these aspects and the calm moments and the chaos moments and all in between. So that's pretty beautiful. There is this woman, I wish I remembered her name, and I know I've spoken about her before. I genuinely don't know. I think she's definitely from Australia or New Zealand. I'm pretty sure Australia. And she talked a lot about the teachings of ancient Kemet or ancient Egypt, and how a lot of the practices were really about like the mystical in the mundane, or the magic in the mundane, and like the beauty of like respecting being a human and living the human life. And of course, the transcendence of these different cycles and phases that come with that, but not to be like, what's that word? Like phased by it. but to just trust it and allow it to come through naturally and organically. And that's not to say, like, you know, that we don't have these ritualistic experiences if that's what we want, or to create ritual or hone these practices. It's more of like integrating that in a grounded way. You know, that expression like chop wood, carry water kind of thing is coming through. I kept feeling Horus, the archetype of Horus, or the energetics of Horus, and Alcyone in the Pleiades for some reason is coming through very specifically. Ow, it feels like I just got bit under my left thigh. I'm sitting on the ground, so it's very possible I did get a bite. And there's a couple bug bites because I've been outside. Maybe someone here also has some bug bites. I heard the phrase rounds of grief. Rounds of grief. Now I'm hearing the song from Aaliyah, dust yourself off and try again. If at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again. So when you find this, if you are going through or you feel like you just did or about to go through some sort of like release in some way, even if it's maybe not anything specific, or you're just like trying to push yourself to like be productive and it's just not working. Yeah, I know this is like a big topic right now, but it's coming up about giving yourself permission to take your time, to rest, to do things sort of in alignment with your own pace and in a rhythmic fashion that like supports you, and that may not be the same every day. So someone here could be working with, if you're a woman or a feminine anatomically, like cycle syncing, or just in general, maybe like syncing with the lunar cycles, with the Chinese calendar, did I say that correctly? The Mayan calendar. Like there could be this call to understand more like natural rhythms and how you can kind of weave with that type of pace instead of maybe past structures that are seemingly no longer existing in your field any longer, or at least not in the same way. Oh, okay. I just felt this pull where the lymph drainage area is at the armpit. This came through Patreon yesterday as well. Lymphatic drainage could be coming up right now for you, and or in the future, or if you're already doing that, just take that as confirmation that it is really helping or will be. Oh my god, I just felt the urge to just yeah, okay, so if you're like coughing up loogies or like phlegm or seemingly gross stuff when you're doing that, and for some of you, you may already know this, and for some of you, you may think like, oh my god, there's something wrong. That will happen when you're like releasing something out. So you just casually let it exit from your body. Stay hydrated type of thing. Someone could be doing acupuncture or receiving acupuncture, studying acupuncture, acupressure, reflexology. I keep feeling like singing, chanting, music. Singing, chanting, music. frequency music, things like this are coming up. I'm seeing someone like laughing, crying, and singing at the same time. Maybe snotting. Like there's just like this like big, as we call it, like ugly cry, ugly laugh. Like if that's you, yes, just like yes. I just feel it's like a big, just please, yes, just like do it. Or if you're already doing it, then like let it out. Or if that's something you've done recently. Hummus. I like used to eat hummus a lot, and then I went through a phase where I was just like sick of it for like a really long time, actually. And sometimes it kind of messes with my stomach. I don't know why it's coming up, but like the last week or so, hummus has been showing up in the weirdest ways for me, like days in a row. So I've just been like eating hummus like almost every day. And then I also have been intermittent fasting this week. It's something I used to do more back around like 2021, 2022. I was fasting and intermittent fasting quite often. And I still go through phases with fasting. But yeah, I felt really called to intermittent fast this week. So someone here could also be doing that as well, or thinking about it, or researching it. Yeah, I'm not sure why the hummus thing is coming up, but I'll see if something else reveals itself about that. But excuse me, I've been thinking a lot about instruction sets, and my throat just got so dry all of a sudden. Instruction sets, the Rasha body, the dark matter templates, and how when we go within and start to alchemize transmutation, there's like this opportunity to, reset and reprogram these instruction sets. Like in Keylontic science, they call it, like I said, the dark matter templates, the Rasha body, that has these like instruction sets to essentially like how we are running on these different programs, and the cyclical nature of our own connection to this process. And so it feels like there's this surge in this masculine charge, like I was talking about yesterday. This silver lightning is something that comes to me. And there was another YouTube transmission I recorded months ago. I will try to remember which one it was so I can link it below if you're interested. But it was this dream astral experience that I had with a being that showed itself as the connected to the Pleiades, a masculine being, but it was like self-illuminated, and it showed up to me like wearing light bulbs, and it essentially was like running this masculine charge and then transferred it over to me. And of course, when we talk about these experiences, there's so much to be understood, and depending where we are in our own consciousness, how we perceive these different archetypes, different constellations, DNA activations, energetics. And so yeah, I've been really thinking a lot about these instruction sets and how we can continue sort of tuning into this and simultaneously enjoying the process, enjoying life as a human, enjoying the mundane, and also allowing space for these attunements, upgrades, modifications, etc. So that is probably what I will be going into more in the overflow, and if that's something that interests you. I know there will be other aspects that weave in, because there generally always is. And I also was sitting with the idea of how I can expand on these things, and also like continue simplifying as well. So yeah, if that's something you're interested in, please feel free to share. And anything that came up, also, I would love to hear from you if you have something to say. Essentially, this rhythmic restoration is sort of what feels like is happening individually and in some collective aspects. I was really drawn to watch a few movies this week, yesterday or the day before, about like parallel lives, parallel timelines. And so it feels like currently there's like another, this surge in, a light just turned on all of a sudden, and it was gone. I didn't even know that. I never saw this light turn on. I've only been here a few days, but this like illumination, because I've been out here quite a bit and it's usually so quiet, and all of a sudden I feel like there's so much going on. It is Friday as well, so maybe that's part of it, but I just saw 222 on my timer. You could be seeing that. I wasn't going to say the word illumination. I was thinking of something else and I got sidetracked, to be honest. So I'm not sure if that will come back. This idea, though, of rhythmic restoration, and I heard someone recently, I can't remember who, it may have actually come up multiple times, talk about like, and this, I'm sure you've heard this before, like what was your initial why of why you're doing what you're doing now? So, if you had and or are thinking about like changing careers, moving a lot, maybe you are realizing people around you are like, wow, you're really different. Like, it doesn't even have to be a specific thing, but there could just be this pull to, the like alchemical lineage path. And there was this moment actually that I had in like 2017, 2018. It was my second apartment that I lived alone in. And I remember I knew that it's so hard to explain. I knew that I was like, I started having these experiences and I was like, just like things that I felt my whole life that I felt like I was crazy for, started to kind of like resurface around that time. So this was like, 2018. So 2018 could be relevant, 2017, 2018, like that time cycle. And I'm recording this in 2025, so the word slick just came through. I don't know, that could just be a sign for someone. Slick hair, like saying when someone's like, okay, slick. I'm getting a lot of like 1940s, like, they use that word. And I was talking earlier about like the Hollywood Reporter. I don't know, I was just getting like a lot of like old Hollywood stuff. Anyway, and at that time around 2018, I was doing a lot of like journaling and starting to reflect, and I just finished going to therapy, and I stumbled upon the phrase, the nature of consciousness. And I just remember like something clicked for me, and that was like when I started to consciously make different decisions, like that was my why, the nature of consciousness. So like I kind of forgot about that, and it came up recently. So yeah, maybe I'm just curious if you have anything like that. Of course, there's so much that has been revealed under that simple phrase, but I feel like it always sort of came back to that. And of course, like being of service and harmony, harmonics, living in harmony. I mean, there's many things, but there was just something about that phrase, I think for me, that was like, you know how they say there's like light encoded words or light encoded whatever that will just like click something within you. And that phrase for me really did it. Consciousness expansion. It was like nature of consciousness, consciousness expansion. So yeah, I am curious, like I said, if you have anything similar, please feel free to share if you'd like. Oh, so I mentioned 222, and when I was recording yesterday for Patreon, I believe when I ended the recording, it was 222 in it. It's just been a lot of 222, and I didn't even realize on this list that I have written down in my notes, I wrote down 2222, 444, 1818, and 666, 6666. So today I also saw 666 a couple times, and the other week, within the last week, I was walking somewhere, and all at the same time, I walked by a building, it was like 1818, a cab drove by, all the sixes, and then it was 22222, 444, and I like, my ears started to pressure shift while I saw that, and I was like hearing a message, and actually my ears were just pressure shifting a few minutes ago, and I was asking what that was for, and now I'm being shown this, and that day I was getting a repeating message from like multiple different sources after I heard, and it was like something about alignment and, you know, the highest, I always say like highest divine timeline path, highest divine timeline. So, and then like keep focus. So yeah, I just wanted to share that because maybe someone else just needed to hear that. And by keep focus, it's like, what's that expression? Like, keep your eye on the ball, kid, or keep your eye on the ball. And it's just kind of like, even if things seem chaotic, or maybe they're not, whatever it is, even if things are going great, but you still maybe just needed a confirmation for that. Maybe there's like a decision that's coming up. Yeah, there's just something about that. Bees, you could be seeing bees. They could be significant. Collaborations can be starting to form, or maybe that's something, I feel like another collective energy, speaking of Five of Wands, like competition, you know, the energy of competition. And of course, I do think there's like room for healthy competition, but like, I'll say like the collective competitive wound of like feeling, it's almost like a lack thing where like there's not enough, so we have to compete in order to, you know, feel good enough, or to feel like we can do something, or we're discouraged because, oh, we can't do that because, you know, there's not enough for everyone, or that's already saturated, you know, different things that come up. And it's tough with these blanket statements because, like, you know, there are certain industries, like, I graduated high school in 2005, so that generation, like, I feel like there were at one point so many people, I think it was law school actually, I could be wrong, that like so many people were going to law school that like it wasn't as, there was something about that like took away a certain aspect. I can't remember details, but like, so I'm not like completely ignoring facts of life that sometimes tend to happen, or if there's like a saturated market with something. But I do feel like there's also room for like innovation, or, you know, now there's a lot of like multifaceted career options and ways to do things. So I think it's not just so simple to be like, oh, we're healing the collective competitive wound, and, you know, not to take other things into consideration, because, but then there's also like, again, like I was saying, room for innovation, and maybe, you know, going at it, the traditional trajectory won't be satisfactory anymore. Like maybe there's something you want to do, but, you know, there's a new twist to add or something, you know. These are just examples. But generally speaking, it feels like a very collaborative energy. And anyway, I was outside the other day, and these bees have been around in Philly. I was in Philly for a few weeks, and like my mom's place, my mom and my stepdad's place, and then a couple of my friends' places, like, what are they, the carpenter bees, like the big ones that don't sting. And usually, like, when I'm outside and they're around me, I just, like, you know, they're just around me. Oh my God, this goes, so these bees were kept, you know, they fight sometimes. That's a third animal. It was the cats, the birds, and now the bees. What's that thing? The birds and the bees talk. That could be relevant for someone. But anyway, these bees were like fighting, and I got in the crossfire, and a bee literally like punched me in the face. It was hilarious. And I was like, oh my God. I don't know why I'm sharing that. But yeah, so bees, I just keep hearing the word collaborative, collaborations, collabing, stuff like this. The Fae are coming through, so someone could be feeling connected to that. And sometimes when I'll feel their energy come in, I'll hear, even though it's just something I hear in my mind, it will be like, the Fae, we want to play, an invitation is on the way. So I'll just hear that in my head sometimes. So yeah, there could be an invitation on the way, or you could have just received an invite for something. There's a few fairy decks, I can't remember which ones, but there's like, you know, let your hair down and dance or something like that. So any of this could be relevant. I would never say this personally, but I heard clear as day in my head, spa day. So maybe someone here is like wanting that or calling that in, or maybe that's something you just planned. The word peculiar is coming up. Maybe someone has called you peculiar, or maybe that's like a word, you know, someone who says a lot. I saw 43 on the timer, mirroring numbers. 8888888 I have written down. The abundance gate, abundance code. Sparrows could be significant. My stepdad just crossed over, and the night that he crossed over, actually, I went into meditation, and I don't even know honestly what a sparrow looks like. And I asked if he was okay. So like conversations with other realms and dimensions could be coming through for you if it's not already. I'm not sure if I want to continue this story. yeah, if anyone's interested in going deeper into that type of thing, you can let me know. And I do talk about this in other transmissions, but fire, the fire element, candles, candle magic, smoke, reading smoke. I just got really stuffy in my sinuses all of a sudden. Someone could be having sinus issues. Yeah, if there's anything that you would like to know about more, like I heard the word allopathic, but I was trying to say something else. And I just felt like this really intense, another prickle. I feel like I'm making this word up. In like the root area, the sex organs. So I just heard the word salacious in my head. Having or conveying undue or inappropriate interest in sexual matters. Salacious stories. Okay, so there could be something around that for someone. Interesting. I wrote down taking out the trash and then seeing loving couples everywhere. So my mom like loves to continually say the same saying. She loves like idioms and phrases, I guess. And she often says like, I don't even know. She said it so many times, like I should know it so well. But it's something like, don't oh my God, I literally can't remember what it is. But something about like not taking on other people's trash, basically. But there's a saying. If you know it, please comment it because I can't remember at the moment. Yeah, so 10 of Wands was also coming through pretty strongly the last few weeks, and something about like burdens. So there could be this cycle that you're wrapping up of, I always say wrapping up because that's what the energy's been feeling like lately, but wherever you are is perfect. Of sort of like maybe holding on to other people's burdens and sort of taking them on as your own. Yeah, I'm seeing someone like taking off like a really heavy backpack and then like opening up and like not recognizing anything in the backpack. It's like nothing of the contents within this pack was actually yours, and you've just been like carrying it around and you're like, oh my God, I'm free. So especially if you have like neck tension, like the top of the shoulders, behind the shoulder blades, that type of area where if you easily have tension there, that could be connected to this like 10 of Wands burden energy that is being released or calling to be released. And I just remembered in a few days, I think on the 12th, and I kept seeing 12/12 today and 12/21. There is a full flower moon, maybe in Scorpio. If anyone knows for sure, feel free to correct me if I am incorrect. So this feels like a really great time. Of course, whenever you find this, it doesn't have to be around this exact date, but the cyclical symbology of the full moon and releasing could be relevant. Sheath release is something also. Grief has been coming through really strongly. I was talking about this also on Patreon yesterday, like grieving of the self, of different aspects of ourselves. That idea, again, 8th house energy, sex, death, rebirth. And remembering to take time to like grieve these aspects of ourselves. of a collective. Like when I went back to I'm just realizing this now, when I was in Philly, that's where I grew up, and just seeing these different like neighborhoods that I haven't seen in a while, and remembering how things, like some things were exactly the same, like nothing was changed. And then other things that like I thought would maybe stay the same were changed. And so, yeah, it's like this idea of, even if you're someone who like really loves change and is a proponent of change, or maybe you're someone who has a little bit of a hard time with change, there's still something about just like taking that time when you feel the need to, or the call, I should say, to honor that. And the idea of sheath release, it's like these layers, these energetic layers, these parts of us that are no longer serving, that can be, it comes to me as a sheath release. It's almost like this mesh aspect within our fields that can serve a purpose for a time, and then when it's time to let go, it's like it started happening to me, and I like was picking up on it, and now I can feel it, like when I when I feel like it's time for a sheath release, I will now just kind of tune in and be a part of the process. It's been happening for a while. If anyone is interested in that, I believe on YouTube and Patreon, I have like guided astral journeys that assist with sheath release, but I was actually thinking of recording another one soon. So yeah, if anyone's interested, feel free to let me know. Okay, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much. Like I said before, please feel free to share if you have anything to say or ask. I also have 3 different types of tinctures available on my shop and my website, and the link below. And all 3 of them do have the ORMUS Gold that I'm affiliated with from Blue Emerald. So if you would rather like work with ORMUS yourself, you can utilize the link, and there's like a discount code. Or if you want to work with ORMUS in an already made tincture, then feel free to ask any questions. I am planning on releasing something soon to talk more about it, but I do have a transmission talking about ORMUS if you would like to learn more. And Blue Emerald Alchemy, their website, they have so much amazing information about it as well, if you are curious. And if you already know about it, I'd love to hear what you think or feel, or anything you want to talk about. The 3 different types that I have right now, I had more, but I actually just went through so many of them. And the 3 survivors, well, one is brand new that I just made, and it's the ORMUS and Blue Lotus with sea salt. And they're all preserved in brandy. So if you have any questions, let me know. I love to talk about it. And the other 2, ORMUS and White Rose with honey and brandy. And then the 3rd one is actually Lyrical Blue Salvia or Sage, preserved in brandy, and the ORMUS Gold. And that one is a little bit, if anyone has ever worked with salvia or the Lyrical Blues sage, it can be a little bit psychoactive. So that was a happy accident, I discovered. And yeah, I'll talk more about it in the video that I plan to make about it, but I just wanted to share in case that's helpful for anyone, especially right now, speaking of like rhythmic restoration and working with cycles and the nervous system. Excessive dopamine has been coming up so much lately. I think a lot of us can just look around and see how we live in a very dopamine stimulated society. And so I love making these tinctures because they really do work with like the subtle bodies and the etheric templates and integrating that into the physical body. And they have such a beautiful way of working in a more rhythmic way. Like, it really does, it's gentle. And I know sometimes it feels like we just want a quick fix, and sometimes we need that, but this is a little bit more of a slow burn, and yeah, it's really great for the nervous system. And like I said, the etheric template, especially if you're more sensitive. Yeah. Okay. I'm officially done. Thank you. Just kidding. I found a few more things that I'd written down that felt really connected to this. So earlier I mentioned something about couples, seeing couples everywhere. And I had also written down, I kept seeing people kissing when I was at the airport. I've been at the airport quite a few times in the last few weeks. I don't remember which time. And this is actually connected to the sparrow story I was talking about earlier. And when my stepdad was the night he crossed over, and I went into meditation, I said what can I look out for to know that you're okay. And I heard clear as day in my head a sparrow, which is so weird to me. And I was I don't even know what a sparrow looks like, but cool. I don't know. I mean, I could Google it, but anyway. So a few weeks later, I'm at the airport and I had to switch gates. It was this whole thing. Whatever. So I was trying to find directions to get to the spot I needed to be, but people at the airport, at least at this point, were not very. I asked a question. They were just basically I don't want to help you. So they helped a little bit, but I figured it out eventually. But it was a blessing in disguise because I got to go outside, and it was really beautiful outside. And I was okay. Oh, so this must have been when I was still in Florida, flying back to Philly. Yeah, so it was 2 days after my stepdad crossed over. Anyway, that's why I went back to Philadelphia, and I'm outside, and I just felt really drawn to sit on this bench and do some breathing. And I was seeing a bunch of light codes, and I saw a runic glyph. And I honestly hadn't been looking up the runes in a while, so I wasn't sure. But the glyph that I saw, I heard Jera, or I don't know if I'm saying that right. Jera. And I heard fruits of labor. And so when I looked it up, the symbol, that's exactly what it was and what it meant. And then I saw also, which to me that's very Seven of Pentacles energy, seeds that you've planted are starting to harvest. So you may feel you have just or are starting to enter your harvest season. And the idea of, I also wrote down earth energy element. So yeah, the pentacles in tarot, things are starting to actually materialize is what it feels like. Love continues to weave through, and it can be in many different forms, but that energy feels really strong. Vulnerability has been coming up quite a bit lately, so it feels whoever is listening to this, I feel perhaps in the past maybe vulnerability may have been hard, or at least certain types of vulnerability. But it feels that truth I was talking about earlier, seems to maybe be, for some of you, rooted in vulnerability, and being that living example is softening, especially that masculine collective I was talking about, softening this invitation for them to be vulnerable as well. And I did have a dream actually that like really depicted this so strongly and that I had written down. I'll probably talk about that in the overflow because yeah, it doesn't feel like I can share that here because of like YouTube guidelines and stuff. So I also had written down Babylon and Stardust. And it's funny, it's the Babylon candle. There's like a black candle in Babylon. So the era of Babylon can be relevant for someone. Maybe you feel connected to Babylon or the times of Babylon. The movie Stardust talks a lot about Babylon and the Babylonian candle, which is a black candle that like transports you if you're not familiar. And I was talking about candle magic. So there's also this like theme I've noticed of like youth and like the fountain of youth or like the elixir of youth. And it's really funny because there's been a few movies coming up with that theme and how like, you know, people realize like in a lot of these movies, like when they're chasing this idea of like youth forever, it's like really always comes back to like the present moment and like appreciating what you have, you know? So I don't know why that's coming up, but like the fountain of youth. And then after the like Seven of Pentacles or Hera, Jera, I have Hera in parentheses, which reminded me of the goddess Hera that came, if I hope I'm saying that correctly, that came through recently on a transmission. So that could be relevant. But yeah, there's something about like that reaping the fruits of labor. And I wrote sun glyph code. And then algae, which is another rune representing the elk, an elk, and symbolizes protection, defense, instinct, group effort, guardianship. Kehu, I believe, is the Hawaiian word for like guardian. I could be wrong, but if someone knows, please correct me. I'm also seeing a lilikoi, which is a Hawaiian fruit, I believe. Lots of like Hawaiian energy keeps coming through. You could feel connected to Lemuria. I'm sure I'll go deeper with some of this in the overflow, but yeah, like an opportunity for vulnerability. It feels like there's someone you're connected to, or again, it could just be like people in your field that are like maybe starting to be more vulnerable. Maybe you're seeing more vulnerable sides of people. And it's just like, again, this embodiment within you that just continues to come up. Oh, I also wrote down Blue Star, Blue Lotus, and the Blue Star Kachina, which is a Hopi prophecy. I feel like I always mess that up when I say it, but there could be something connected to that. And of course, I was just talking about Blue Lotus, and I completely forgot that I wrote that down. I love specifically working with sun-dried Blue Lotus. The Egyptian sun-dried Blue Lotus. I'm really drawn to group effort because I was talking about like the bees and collaboration. Ants also. Could be seeing ants as a sign of collaboration. Protection and defense. Yeah, so it's also feels like there's like a way of showing up that perhaps in the past was a protection mechanism that feels like it's being released. And I was talking about like the full moon and releasing around that. So it does feel like maybe it's connected to some sort of like aspect around that. 808 could be coming, you could be seeing that number. Oh, I also wrote down timeline shifter, and I was sort of talking about like parallel timelines and the idea of this. So yeah, on that note, timeline shifting. I will definitely be going more into that in the future. So yeah, thank you. I just finished creating the thumbnail for this transmission, and for some reason the whole time I kept hearing the song from Taylor Swift in my head, Love Story, like one of her older songs. I don't know why that is just playing on repeat in my head. And I realized I didn't finish the sparrow story. So if you're still here, maybe there's something about your own, like I said before, deepening of communication with other realms, dimensions, however you look at it. Spirit. There's so many ways that we can break that down. It can be like coming through as mediumship, and for some of you who may not like identify with the word mediumship, but there's still aspects that come through. Ectoplasm has been coming up a lot lately, so you can feel connected to some of the maybe like more sciencey aspects of energy. Anyway, so I was talking about being outside at the airport and receiving the sun codes when I saw the codes in the runic alphabet that came through, the 2 that I mentioned. And then right when I was finishing that little mini transmission I was just doing with myself, a bird like flew up to me like really close and was like kind of acting like squawking and just like wanting to be noticed, which is being kind of crazy. And then like when I finished, and I didn't know what kind of bird it was, but I heard it's a sparrow, and I was like, no. And this is like after I just had that experiences, and I'm sure sparrows are like common, but it wasn't just that I saw a sparrow, it was like interacting with me in really interesting ways. And then right when I heard that in my head, like look, like Google a sparrow, like this is a sparrow, it flew like right by my head, like so close, and was like making like squawking noises and stuff. And I looked it up, I took a picture and sent it to my mom because she's good at identifying birds. And I was like, what kind of bird is this? And she said a sparrow. And then I Googled it, and it did look like a sparrow. So anyway, I just wanted to share that because, some people may hear that and be like, what are you talking about? That doesn't really mean anything. And then it's like that sort of thing, like if you know, you know, or if you feel that, you feel that, Okay, I'm officially finished now. Thank you.